Hi guys, and welcome once again to Curated Logic, where we try and up your brain game. Today, we are both staying firmly fixed in the present, whilst also taking a voyage back to 1993. A year that marked the beginning of Bill Clinton's first term as President of the United States, the end of the nation of Czechoslovakia, and the release of a game that soon after became the highest selling game of all time, eclipsed only by the juggernaut that was The Sims in 2002. The game to which I refer is Myst. So strong was the impact of Myst in the 90s that as a child of this era, I felt like I had memories of playing it, even though upon playing the newly re-released version, I realised that I had actually never played it. It was just the memory of the existence of the game so heavily in the zeitgeist at the time that I had felt those memories existed. Either way though, because of how strongly I remembered Myst as an entity, I was pretty excited to give the re-release a go. And even though it took me a little bit of time to get my bearings in the game and was shorter than I would have liked, it provided a gaming experience I think was definitely worth my time. When you first enter the world of Myst, nothing is really explained. You get a short, mysterious intro before you are plopped upon an island, and like new inhabitants that have come before you, you are left to explore and figure out things for yourself. When games do not offer any real introductory scene setting, it typically can go down one of two ways. The first is, if there is no reason for a story to be kept from you, you can easily feel abandoned as a player and feel like you are tediously spending time figuring out story and functionalities of the game that do not serve to do anything but extend gameplay. The second way it can go down is when this keeping back of information adds to the mystery of the game and makes the solving of puzzles and exposing of storyline that much more satisfying. Initially, when I first started playing Myst, I was feeling a little like it was veering towards the first way. Quite quickly, the books that make up the core of the game are discovered, and you have to spend time reading through these, which, if you are like me, when it comes to extended text passages in games, can get quite tedious. As I was doing this, all I was thinking was, why couldn't this have been explained in video or something? Which I am sure speaks to all of those people who make fun of millennials and younger people for having short attention spans. However, after I finished reading what I needed to read and began playing through the game, I slowly began to feel so grateful that the story had been presented this way. The books are the core of the story, and to have presented the information any other way would have felt disjointed and out of character for the game. And as you explore further and further into the worlds within the game, the feeling of connection back to those books and of the worlds to one another becomes stronger and more cohesive. The best analogy I can make is thinking of Myst as a puzzle. You find pieces along the way that can feel disjointed and unexplained by themselves, and at the beginning, like I did, you can even question whether the game is going to be any good at all for all the lack of any solid footing you feel initially within the worlds. But as those pieces begin to come together, and a greater picture is formed of the game as a whole, and just like when you do a puzzle, built up is your ability to see the connections between every piece that make up that whole, it leads to an ever-growing sense of contented satisfaction, and in the case of Myst, an appreciation of the simplicity and effectivity of the story, especially when you have completed it. Of course, so many of the pieces of this puzzle that is Myst and the worlds it encompasses are the actual puzzles within the game itself. I personally go back and forth on how I feel about most of these puzzles, as there were very few that I found truly challenging. Even in the moments I was stuck for a longer period of time when compared to other elements, the reason for being stuck was usually something simple I hadn't thought of yet, rather than it being something I had to actually really sit down and use my brain heavily to figure out. This was both good and bad. Good, because when I did finally think of the right thing to do, the tricky simplicity of the solution made me smile, and it never felt like it ran the risk of feeling out of place or was made more difficult for the sake of being more difficult. But bad, because it meant I only felt taxed up to a certain point, like I never actually had to fire on all cylinders for any of the puzzles within the game. And for those who know me, and for those who have watched these videos, they know that in a puzzle game, I like to feel really challenged. The closest I got to this, for me at least, was the submarine travelling on the track puzzle, but even this isn't really that hard, it just needs some concentration. Given that the puzzles aren't really that difficult, it also means that the game itself is shorter than I would have liked it. To finish what is necessary in a world can sometimes take as little as working out a couple of major puzzles, which meant it always felt like you had just started your experience in a world and you were leaving it again. Outside of the puzzles and the story of Myst, the game also provides really decent graphics, music, and sound effects, with the voice acting working well within the context of the game. I did have one issue with the display, which I'm not sure if it was a mechanism of the game or a glitch in my version, but when I was in the submarine that travelled on the underground tracks, the entire screen went fuzzy. If you guys know whether there was a reason behind this and I have just missed it, please let me know in the comments below, because I felt like it had to be a glitch, given that it didn't add anything to the complexity of the puzzle in any way and was simply more of an annoyance than anything else. The other thing that I found slightly frustrating was the open-endedness of the ending, in inverted commas. This is because outside of it feeling like you have done what you need to do and there is little else to do but explore, you have no indication that you have actually finished the game. There are no credits or congratulations. On one hand, the open-endedness does fit in with the story and the game as a whole, and that is nice. But on the other, it removes a little satisfaction from completing what you had just completed, not getting any real acknowledgement of your accomplishments. This, however, was also heightened for me as, unfortunately, for some reason, Steam wasn't recognizing me as having unlocked any achievements, which, when I looked up what these hidden achievements were once I had finished the game, I certainly had done a number of them. The final points to quickly discuss are the controls of the game. I ran into a bit of difficulty having recently played a game for many hours, which the spacebar is used to exit out of looking at a puzzle. So this meant that, given that in this game to use the spacebar means to be taking a picture, I ended up taking a number of unwanted photographs. Given that once I had the camera up, having pressed the spacebar, I found no way to get rid of it without actually taking the photo or escaping to the menu. The other thing that I would have changed was the function of not automatically climbing up and down ladders. Having to press to do so was unintuitive to me, and even after having to do so many times, it remained this way. It was something I just never really got used to. I did look into the menu to see if I could change these controls, but nothing I saw allowed the changes that I would want to make a difference to the things that I didn't feel work. Still, these points were so minor when it came to the actual feeling of the whole game that they didn't really impact greatly on my experience. So, with all that in mind, I end up giving Myst an 8 out of 10. It is not the score I thought I would be giving it, even halfway through the game, but so well does the game bring things together, so simple yet cohesive do the story, the puzzles, and the imagery reveal themselves to be the more you play, just like a puzzle, that I walked away with a real appreciation for the game and a sense of enjoyment from having played. I personally would like to continue to have more of a look at the game and try to do a completionist run of the game, but until I can actually see those achievements on Steam, I will leave it just as this initial and well worth it experience I have had. I hope you enjoyed that review of the re-release of Myst. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe to Curated Logic, and if you have an opinion on Myst or there is a different game you want me to play, please let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you want to continue upping your brain game, you can follow Curated Logic on any of the socials listed above or below, or you can support us through Patreon. I hope wherever you are in the world, you are keeping safe and happy. Until next time, keep upping your brain game and have fun. See ya.